My name is Dave. 1982. I was in class. I was 11 years old, in middle school, 5th grade. I was sitting in class, and my teacher was giving his lesson. And a school administrator had come into the room. He goes to the front of the class. He speaks briefly to my teacher, and they both look over at me. I remember a very sympathetic look on my teacher's face. He tells me I've got to go with the school administrator. I remember getting up and him telling me to make sure to grab my books because I wasn't going to be coming back to class that day. The school administrator takes me over out of the class and he takes me to my mother. I remember her wearing sunglasses. She tells me that we have to go now. She takes me to the car. In the car, my sister's there. She's very visibly upset. Once I'm in the car, my mother tells me we're going to the hospital. We're going to be saying goodbye to your father because he's not going to be making it past the weekend. Fast forward a few days, and we're at the funeral parlor at the wake. I remember sitting in the lobby. I didn't want to go in to see my father's dead body in the casket. I remember that. I did not want to do that. But I had some family members that felt it was important for me. So I was forced to do this. I was forced to go see my father's body in the casket. Six months prior, he had been diagnosed with cancer. I was told that the autopsy had ruled it pancreatic cancer. But the cancer was throughout. It was within his bones, a lot of major organs. I remember him suffering. I remember the way that the chemotherapy waged war on his body. I remember a lot of how he'd gotten sick and then really, really sick. But the moments that stick out were being picked up at school, have to go to the hospital, to go see him in a very drug-induced state, to say goodbye. I hope he knew who I was. I hope that the drugs weren't too much when I said that I love you for the last time. Maybe I was able to get that out through the tears, I'm not sure. Recently, a moment that reminded me of this is my son. He's on a hockey team. My son's about the same age as I was when my father passed away. There was an unexpected death from one of the parents of his teammate. This wasn't cancer, this was heart disease. But I'm sitting there at the wake, and I'm talking with one of the other parents, and I'm looking over at the casket, seeing the profile of this gentleman in the casket. The other parent, she says to me, "It puts life in perspective, doesn't it?" I had to hold back myself so much from losing it at that moment. I was that little boy again. I was 11 years old. I was reliving that moment in my mind. Of my father lying in that casket. This is cancer's fault. I run an 80s themed podcast. We try to stay relevant with the current news that's related in the retro industry. People that have affected our lives in the 80s. I'm recording this January 17th, 2016. Since the beginning of the year, Richard Libertini, age 82, died January 7th. You're going to know him as Frank Walker in the movie Fletch. David Bowie, age 69, died January 10th. You're going to know him from a lot of things. David Margolis, age 78, died January 11th. Very iconically, he was a mayor in Ghostbusters. Alan Rickman, age 69, died January 14th. We know him as Hans Gruber from the movie Die Hard. Dan Haggerty, age 74, died January 15th. He portrayed Grizzly Adams. As of this moment, we're no longer going to be able to go to some retro convention, get an autograph from these gentlemen, take a selfie. We're not going to see them in any new roles, in any new movies. We're not going to get any new albums. We're not going to get any new songs. What we had to remember them by is what they've already given us. This is cancer's fault. We need to do something. According to cancerstatisticscenter.cancer.org, in 2016 in the United States, there's going to be an estimated 1,685,210 new cancer cases. 595,690 cancer deaths. Every day, that's 4,620 approximate new cases. That translates to 1,630 deaths. This needs to stop. We need to stand up to cancer. What I'm asking for is, if you can, please go to standupcancer.org cancer.org and donate. What I'm asking for you to do is just donate the minimum, which is $5. If you want to donate more, that's fantastic. But we have to band together and rid the world of cancer. There's probably, in this case, 1,630 people that may be picking up their child from school to go say goodbye to their parent, or an uncle, or an aunt, or a grandparent, or a cousin, or a brother, or a sister, or maybe it's the child. We need to stop this disease. Please help. It's www.standup2cancer.org. I am honestly very afraid of this disease. I've had many people affected by it throughout my life. I have a lovely wife, 3 wonderful kids, and I don't want to ever have the instance where they have to go through what I've gone through. I don't want them to have to say goodbye to me because of cancer. Please help me. Please help everyone else that is affected by this dreaded disease. It has affected you if you're a fan of the 80s. It has affected somebody in your life. Please donate. Please share this link with somebody that you think may donate. I purposely left the bumper intro and outro for this podcast off. It's not about getting more download numbers. It's about getting you to help. About getting you to donate. If you are going to donate, or if you have donated, I would love to hear from you. There's many social media ways to get a hold of me. On Twitter, it's at 80s Reboot. On Facebook, go to facebook.com/80s Reboot. Feel free to post on the wall that said that you stood up to cancer. Email 80sreboot@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your story. Even better than that, I would love to hear that you donated something to help stand up to cancer. We need to stop this disease, and we need to stop it now. Please donate. Rest in peace, Richard Libertini, David Bowie, David Margolis, Alan Rickman, Dan Haggerty, and my father, James White.